Hello and welcome to the news here on Magic Bricks Now, India's first property business channel. I'm Krishna Kumar. Let's take a look at the top stories that we're tracking. The Delhi High Court refuses to stay the Taj Mansingh Auction. NDMC gets set to put it on the block, and this time around, the Tata Group will not have the first right of refusal. That's a Magic Bricks Now exclusive. Air quality in Mumbai has hit a new low after a fire started last Thursday in the centrally located Deona dumping ground. As the fire continues to rage, a political blame game has begun. Meanwhile, citizens are gasping for breath. In a landmark ruling, the Delhi High Court grants women not only the right to inherit property but also the right to manage estates. The court has ruled that the eldest female member of a Hindu united family can be its karta. Straight to our top story then. The iconic Taj Mansingh Lutyens Delhi's marquee hotel is on the block. The Delhi High Court has ruled against any stay on the auction. What's more, Magic Bricks Now learns that the Tatas who have been managing the hotel may not get a say in the auction after all. Suyesha Sawant gets us some exclusive details in this report. Listen in.
After a delay of 5 years and 9 extensions, the iconic Taj Mansingh is all set to go under the hammer. What we do know exclusively from our sources is that Tata Group will not have the first right of refusal, which means that if they wish to get the hotel back, they will have to bid for it amongst all the other bidders and ensure that they have the highest quote. We've also been told by our sources that they will invite global bids. The Delhi High Court legally refused to stay the auction, and following this, in an extensive meeting on Friday, NDMC took the call to go ahead and auction the property. SBI Capital Markets is advising NDMC through this transaction, and they are in the process of preparing the tender document in which they'll also decide the reserve price fixed for the 3.78-acre property, after which they will come out with a date for the auction. Just to give you a background, Ratan Tata-owned Indian Hotels Company Limited, IHCL, had been given this property on lease for 33 years. The 11-story hotel had come up in 1978 and was a joint venture between the NDMC and IHCL, wherein land and construction cost of the property was borne by NDMC and operation and maintenance was with IHCL. This lease expired on October 10, 2011. Since then, the NDMC has been extending the lease for fixed periods. Following orders from the Union Home Ministry, NDMC in March 2015 set a 3-month deadline for the auction. However, it was put off then. Under the original lease agreement, the company was paying 10.5% of the total annual revenue to NDMC, which was later increased to 17.25% for the extended lease period. IHCL has been trying tooth and nail to be able to keep the property to themselves, but after the various rounds of litigation, the decision to auction the property is now in process.
Away from that and on to the other big story that we're tracking over here. Mumbai's air quality has hit a new low. Weather conditions, humidity and a fire in a dumping ground has released a deadly cocktail of gases into the air. Pollution levels in the city stood at 333 AQI on Sunday, while cases of respiratory distress in the city increased. The fire is still raging, and politicians are fighting amongst themselves. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal has been tracking the story closely, and she gets us this report all the way from Deonar, where the fire broke out.
The fire behind me is one of the major reasons why Mumbaikars across the city are facing severe health problems. If you look at the average air quality index of Mumbai, across the board it is 333 levels, which is way above what it should be. On an average, it should be anywhere between 100 to 200. At this rate, Mumbai is at par with Delhi when we talk about pollution. In this area, the adjoining areas like Chembur and Wadala, which are also the hot property markets of Mumbai, the residents in these areas have started complaining of severe health issues. Most of the residents tell us that they cannot sleep through the night because they are coughing. Small children or elderly are the worst affected people by this. Doctors are telling us that across Mumbai we will see a spike in lung infections. This fire, which started on Thursday, has not been doused off completely as of now.
Shifting focus to Asia's largest slum, Dharavi, which is set to get a makeover soon. In a bid to kickstart one of the biggest redevelopment projects, Dharavi Redevelopment Authority has invited the global tenders to revamp the slum. Amita Balachandra gets us this report.
Well, the bidding process for Asia's largest slum redevelopment project has begun. Of course, Dharavi Redevelopment Authority has invited global tenders on 30th of Jan 2015. The last date of submission is 7th of April 2015. So there's a good 90 days for that date of submission. What we're also hearing is that this redevelopment will happen only for the first 4 sectors. Remember, the 5th sector's redevelopment is being conducted by MADA itself. So each of these sectors will have a different developer each. What we're also hearing is that developers can bid for more than one sector. However, they will not be able to redevelop more than one sector. What's also interesting to note here is that this project has been stuck for nearly a decade now, and this is the second time the bidding process is taking place. Remember, the first time it took place, it was in 2011, and a couple of developers had backed out, and this entire thing was failed to be executed back in 2011. So it's interesting to note how this entire thing will pan out, especially this year.
Well, Amita is having a busy day because that was earlier in the day. Currently, Amita is busy tracking the results of Brigade Enterprises' third quarter earnings, which have come out. The company's net profit is up 31% with total revenues touching over 1,200 crore rupees. Amita, tell us, what are the numbers looking like?
Well, the numbers are looking good, Krishna. As you said, the net profit is up 31% and the total revenue is now, it stands at 1,214 crore rupees as against 937 crore rupees. What's also interesting to note here is that the total real estate space that's been sold is 0.44 million square feet with a total value of 241 crore rupees in the last quarter. Also, coming to launches now, total launch of 2.7 million square feet has taken place over the last 3 quarters, out of which 2.64 million square feet is in the residential segment. Also, the company tells us that they are gearing up for a 3 million square feet launch over the next 2 quarters. What we're also hearing is that the Orion East Mall in Banaswadi, which is in the east of Bengaluru, will be complete and will be operational in over the next quarter. And it's a new 4-5 star hotel which is in the heart of Mysore. It's called 150 room Grand Mercury. That will also be operational over the next quarter. However, we're yet to hear what the growth numbers are really like when it comes to residential, commercial and retail segments from the company.
Do not expect EMIs to reduce just yet because there is RBI action. An 18-hour poll of bankers and economists ahead of Tuesday's credit policy found that 95% of bankers expect Governor Rajan to leave the repo rate unchanged. 99% bankers, however, expect a 0.25% rate cut post the budget on the 29th of February, and 65% of bankers expect a rate cut outside of the credit policy. Till date, the RBI has reduced its repo rate by 1.25%. Banks have, however, passed on a mere 0.6% of the cut. Governor Rajan has pulled up banks previously over this lapse. Economists expect that the governor might pause this time so banks can pass on the benefit of the previous rate cuts. A cut in repo rate reduces the cost at which banks borrow money from the RBI since they get money cheaper. The theory is that they give you and me cheaper home loans with lower EMIs. We will, of course, keep a close eye on the credit policy when it is announced and tell you how it will impact your home loan. Moving on. One of the biggest office space deals in the country has been inked. Tata Consultancy Services has picked up 19 lakh square feet for its biggest office under one roof at the Hiranandani estate in Thane. My colleague Aishwarya Paliwal is standing by with details of that big deal. Aishwarya, tell us, office space has been doing really well. What does this deal say about the office space sector overall, and also give us details about this deal per se?
You know, all the reports that we have read recently signal that, office space in India across the board has been doing really well. And now one of the biggest office space deals has been inked. TCS has signed a deal with Hiranandani Estate in Thane to pick up 19 lakh square feet in Hiranandani Estate in Thane. Now, they have signed a 15-year contract with Hiranandani with a reset clause of every 3 years. We spoke to Hiranandani and he told us that the construction of this IT park has already started and it will be complete in the next 2 years. Now, the rental anywhere varies between 50 to 55 rupees per square foot per month, and this makes it close to 120 to 130 crore rupees per year. That is the kind of amount that Hiranandani will get with this deal. Now, this deal also signals that, commercial real estate market in Bombay is definitely coming back.
Commercial real estate in Bombay is coming back, is the word coming in from Aishwarya Paliwal. Thank you so much for that. Now, moving on. The Delhi High Court, in a landmark verdict, has said that the eldest female member of the Hindu undivided family can be its karta. Karta denotes managership of a joint family and is traditionally inherited by men. The verdict came on a suit filed by the eldest daughter of a North Delhi business family seeking entitlement as the karta on the death of her father and 3 uncles. How significant is this ruling? To get us a clear perspective on this ruling, joining me live is tax and legal expert Vinay Singh. Vinay, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news and Magic Breaks Now. Now, according to this order, the eldest female member of a Hindu united family can now head it. How significant is this particular ruling?
See, there is a background to this judgment in the sense that prior to 2005, it was always the male person who could be a male member of the family who could be a co-partner. Now in 2005, a very significant amendment was made to the Hindu Succession Act and namely Section 6 was introduced, and Section 6 said that basically it placed the girl child of a family on the same footing as the male child. So the woman was entitled to be a co-partner. The rights in the property were identical to the male child in all manners. So that itself was a very significant step. However, there was one little question that although the female child has been placed on the same footing in terms of inheritance of property, whether she has the right to administer the affairs or manage the affairs of the Hindu undivided family was a bit of a grey area, where some people may argue that okay, she may have a right in the property, but she does not have the right to run the family as a karta. Now this judgment is a very good judgment and clarifies this very point, that if she has the right in the property and the idea of the parliament was to place the female child on the same footing as the male child, then why can't she run the family affairs? So it's, in a sense, it is logically following that amendment which was made in 2005. So I think it's a wonderful thing and clarifies lots of things.
Vinay, I want to understand, what does this move mean from the point of view of real estate? Tell us, since women anyway have a right to share an ancestral property.
Yes, see, they will be co-owners. As a karta, she will be the decision maker in this instant case vis-a-vis the other cousin who was, younger cousin who was challenging her. So in effect, if you would have to end up dealing with her definitely, there is no other change as far as the ownership is concerned. But in terms of the management of the property itself, if the HUF has property, would all now vest with this one person, the female. So that's a good sign in itself.
All right, Vinay, before we let you go quickly, this is a landmark ruling from the Delhi High Court. Will this be valid across the country?
No, see, generally a High Court judgment applies only to that particular state, but it does have persuasive value. If tomorrow the same question is raised, say, in Maharashtra, then Mumbai High Court would also like to look at what other high courts have had to say. And if there's no fine area and there are no points of dispute, generally a high court would follow the logic also of another high court, though one cannot say definitely. But here I think it's fairly clear cut, so we don't see a problem there. It has a lot of persuasive value in other states, though it does not have a legal binding.
Tax and legal expert Vinay Singh there. Vinay, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. You're on the news on Magic Breaks Now. Moving on. If you're still unsure whether it's the right time to buy, then here's some good news coming your way. Real estate advisory firm Valion has launched a real estate portfolio management portal called MyFollow to provide property advice for investors and end users. MyFollow will manage real estate portfolios online and would execute investments, disposition, advisory, leasings and residential property management for its online users. If you're wondering how much this service will cost you, then here's the answer. It is free of cost for middle-income employees and users up to a portfolio of 12 crore rupees. Once your portfolio amounts to 12 crore rupees, inclusive of your own residential property, then you will have to pay an annual retainer amount of 15 to 20,000 rupees. My colleague Deepa Rana caught up with Amit K. Lalit, the CEO and founder of MyFollow, and asked him about the new launch, the key markets they'll be tapping into, and if it is really the right time to buy.
The idea has been going on for about 10 years, and it's just that that it's actually come to present now, because I think this is the right time for someone when the markets are low, the best time for someone to look at reality investments in a more serious way, an opportunity time as well. Plus the platform will also allow you to disinvest and will also allow you to lease and manage. rather than only investment. It's the perfect time for, I think, the launch to happen.
Are you planning to invest only in India or even in countries abroad?
No, so right now we're looking at about 8 cities in India where we think there is educated, tech-savvy investors who would actually come on board and use the platform extensively. After the 8 cities are done, we plan to go international. So we will target Singapore, Dubai, a couple of other places where we want to take the platform to.
Is it only about plain investment, or are you also planning on debt financing?
No, we're looking at anything and any investment product which is related to real estate. So the asset class remains real estate, but it will also include REITs. It will also talk about investment products, which are structures, NAFRs, all of that for real estate. But the investment product has to be related to real estate only.
So coming to investments, say if I'm an NRI or if I want to invest into the property, how are you making sure that my investment with you is safe, especially when a builder is involved in the entire process?
Okay, so one, that we are not only targeting investments which are builder centric, unlike other portals. We will be looking at pre-rented income generating assets as well. We will be looking at multiple opportunities, not only developers. That's one. Secondly, on the developer facing, we're developing a rating system where we're going to rate every developer based on the past projects they've delivered, how they've been performance in the bad times, especially in last 2-3 years, what they've ensured to actually keep their brand image uplifting. We have also on every project, what we recommend, it is a transparent mechanism. We have actually designed 24 parameters which will give you a capital appreciation score, which would mean that which is run through an algorithm, which is technology driven and is not biased at all. So you can actually just go on the portal and see what are the top projects which have higher capital appreciation. And you will know that, okay, these are the projects which they are recommending because they have 24 parameters algorithm running on it. For developer, we will obviously do the entire due diligence on the project before we start putting it on the platform, recommending for investments. We will also have a relationship manager who will assist you in doing the entire due diligence on the project before you actually start executing the transaction for this particular project.
You shop online, and now you can also file consumer complaints online. In Maharashtra, the State Consumer Commission has started accepting online complaints. What's more, you will also get notifications that will update you on the progress of your case. Disha Shah takes you through the process of filing a case online. Take a look.
It is the first of its kind initiative in the country that will surely bring cheer to home buyers. The Consumer Forum is accepting cases online. All you need to do is log on to www.consumerconnect.co.in and file your case from anywhere at any time. You can also pay online. The website will also send you notifications on the progress of your case. Consumer Connect was launched by the Maharashtra State Consumer Redressal Forum on Monday.
The first advantage that people will have is easy accessibility. You can sit at your home comfortably and enter the data in, and then you don't have to physically run around for typing, xeroxing. It's a lot of tremendous manual labor. Again, suppose even for lawyers, consumers, of course, consumers or lawyers or even persons who are filing the cases, they can do it sitting at home. There will be minimal cost to them and the speed.
So what are the steps that you need to undertake to file a consumer complaint? First, click on the Register New and select Consumer option and fill all the mandatory details to complete your registration process. Once the registration process is complete, you can log in with your registered email ID and password and then click on New Case to file your case. Fill in the required details. You will then get your case number, which you can use to track the status of your case. Advocates say this digitization process could be a boon to the resource-strapped consumer fora.
Now digitization would help in the speed because for the simple reason is objections will be removed, data will be available easily, benches can look into the file anytime they want, there will be a lot of transparency. So from look at any angle, digitization is going to be a boon in coming time.
In the long run, lawyers also expect that digitization will help courts clear the backlog of cases faster. The court is currently hearing cases filed as long back as 2002. With Disha Shah, Kavita Krishnan, Magic Bricks Now.
Moving away from all of that, it's time now to talk about interiors. When we think about space, we not only think about the beautiful furniture and the paintings that hang the wall, we also think about the lighting. Lighting allows us to make our space look the way we'd like it to be: big, small, dramatic, muted, and a lot more. So if you'd like to accentuate your space with the help of lighting, then here's a slice from this week's episode of The Interior Show, where interior designer Dhruva talks about lighting and how it can be put to best use.
Could you emphasize on different ways of using lights?
First of all, I think it is a common mistake which many people make, where they believe that there's one common type of light across the entire space. So that being said, I mean, lights can be divided into 4 different categories. One of them would be ambient lighting. So that deals with the general lighting condition of a space. Okay. Now another essential light is task lighting, and as the name suggests, it helps people carry out certain tasks. So for example, you could have a task light above a desk, a working desk, and if you have a piano also in your space, you can have one above the piano directed towards the keys. One form of ambient lighting is cove lighting, in which the light, it reflects off the walls, and this kind of creates a uniform glow across the entire space.
So Dhruv, so far we've discussed ambient and task lighting. What are the other forms?
There is something known as accent lighting. This actually falls under the aesthetic category. If you have a lot of landscape which you wish to highlight, then you can have a form of accent lighting. There's different types of accent lighting. The idea is just to actually bring attention to certain parts.
So Dhruv, talking about so many lights, I'm actually wondering that when we see chandeliers, what category do they fall under?
Decorative lighting, I would say.
Okay.
In that case, you're paying attention to the light itself, the light fixture itself, and not the light. It adds aesthetic value to us.
So Dhruv, our viewers are really looking forward to you answering some of their queries. So without any delay, let's start with the first query. So the first query is sent in by Ishani from Kolkata, and she says that I recently moved into a new house and I want to know if having a rug is a good idea because I have cane furniture and wooden flooring. So what should I use to brighten up my living area?
First of all, I think having a rug is definitely a good idea because it kind of ties a space together. Wood flooring and cane furniture, I think it would be really nice to have a lighter color as a rug because anything darker would not allow the furniture to stand out, and at the same time you're trying to define a different space. So I would go along the lines of cream, beige, or even if she wishes to use color, I would recommend using more muted tones of color, so it's not too bright at the same time, because you don't want to compete with the cane furniture.
Now, if you have any feedback or suggestions for us, write to us on the email ID flashing on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post a query on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. Also, remember to check out our live streaming website, www.mbnow.in. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news on Magic Breaks Now. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar saying goodbye.